Now this is more spout than I'm going to use. I'm going to trim this in a little bit, but I want to see what it's going to look like with the handle before I do the spout. And I also have some of what I'll call issues with connections. I don't want my handle to just be stuck, you know, with the curve coming down and just fitting in with just a butt joint sort of thing. So I go through this process of making a fairly elaborate joint. I think of it in part that it's just resolving something for me visually, but I also deep down in my heart like to think that it's going to be stronger, better, just a much better handle for having all this stuff. And because I do all of this creation of parts, I also think and don't want to recycle bits. I think I just put more bits on so I don't have to do that. So this handle was pulled, and you can, a little bit later on, you can look at the teapot. It's actually pulled as if it's a piece of celery. There's a real deep groove in there. And it was wrapped around this cylinder to stiffen up. So I'm going to, as soon as I find the right tool, I'm going to start looking at how much of this handle I really want. So that may be a little too much. I'm sure glad I don't have to clean up after me.
Yeah, it would be me.
We'll all help.
And I just always find myself adding what I can only describe as little bits. And this is one place you have to keep checking. You don't want to go through the whole process of assembling a teapot and having the handle leading one way or the other. Not even a question of right-handed or left-handed. There's a lot of slip on this right now, and I will clean it up at the last minute with a brush, most likely. I'm going to insert just a little bit of clay. This is, I suppose, a confidence issue about, or lack of confidence, depending on how you want to interpret it, about the strength of the connection. And I'm going to put a thumb rest up on top, and I'm not going to put it directly on top. I'm actually going to put it back. And this is all part of making the teapot move forward. But there's another thing about it. If you are using this as truly a useful teapot, it's rare that you will be holding the pot here. The only time you're going to hold the pot here is when you're carrying it from point A to point B. When you're actually pouring, your hand's going to slide all the way back here. This is where you're going to be pouring the tea from. So I'm going to put the thumb thing right about there. It's kind of a compromise position. There's a part of me that wants it to be up on top. It's, in my mind, it's only there because I am struggling with that curve, and I don't want you to, your eye to just travel directly over that curve. I want you to see something else. So, and we can sit here and probably have a long conversation about the correct location of this thing, but I will be right. So there really is only one thing left, and that's to cut the spout. Regardless of everything else, the tip of the spout should be at least that high. So I'm looking out there. I also know that it's going to twist, so I'm not going to cut it straight. I'm going to cut it at a slight angle. And all things going well, it should just turn into a straight position. So I'm going to do just a little bit of clay removal. There's a lot of discussion about spouts and dripless spouts, and we do all the things that we need to do to make them work the best way we can. Probably 30 years ago, a man by the name of John Glick came out here and did a workshop that was made available to all the local professionals. And what John Glick did was he put a little tiny line in a little groove in the tip of the spout, and that caused his spouts to be to drip less, and so we thought that was pretty cool, and so we all put these little lines in the tip of our spouts, and the local gallery owners returned all of our teapots because they had cracks in them.
Oh, no.
So then I traveled to New Zealand, and I bought this coffee pot, and the guy had taken wax and very carefully waxed and left the bare clay edge on the top. And I thought that was pretty okay, with the idea that that would cut the liquid off. And then early on in Portland, that spout's too tall. When Thai food was first really introduced, a place called Pot Sticker downtown had these commercially made teapots from somewhere in Asia, and they had these little plastic stubs on the end. And they worked really well with those little plastic stubs on the end, but those little plastic stubs were really packing material.
Oh, my.
But then they just chose to leave it on because they worked better with that on. And then I have a Dave Shaner teapot, and it never really poured very well until my friend Pat Horsley chipped the spout, and then it became just dripless just right away. It was really wonderful. So we struggle, whether it's a teapot or a pitcher, to make these things dripless. And then I read in a book by Michael Cardew, who's since passed away many years ago. His solution to the dripless spout is, it's the pourer's fault. You do the best job you can, and beyond that,